So the arrest followed 2 failed kidnapping attempts in May and June, as well as the seizure of weapons, including an AR-style rifle. What does AR-style mean? I hate when they do that because they could mean an SKS because these people aren't bright and they don't know a lot about firearms. One of the suspects was charged separately, that's Waleed Khan, with terrorism offenses that include conspiracy to commit murder for the Islamic State and providing cryptocurrency to the group. Waleed Khan, 26, Osman Azizov, 18, and Fahad Sadat, 19, face almost 80 charges as a result of a major crimes investigation called Project Neapolitan.
Mm.
Guys, come on, that's not a good name. A parallel investigation by the RCMP's Integrated National Security Enforcement Team resulted in 7 terrorism charges against Khan, who's accused of conspiring with an Allah Karim. He's
Mm.
further charged with operating a pro-ISIS Telegram account. The charges accuse him of making himself available to commit terrorism in response to instructions from the group. They're all scheduled to appear in a Toronto court January 29th, and this is just days after 2 people in uh, Australia committed Islamic State style attacks, and they were found with Islamic State flags in their vehicle and I think in their home as well. Um, Toronto's got a bit of an ISIS problem. It's almost like they should do something about it. I hope they find the people in charge of the city because Olivia Chow continues to search for that person. Um, but this is not the first ISIS inspired arrest. We had the guy and his son not all that long ago. He was an ISIS butcher, actually, who was allowed to have his citizenship, and then his son came, and then they were planning a pro-ISIS attack on the Jewish community, and we were only tipped off to it by I think it was French authorities. It wasn't even the RCMP.
Oh
Um,
my gosh, that's horrible.
so, anyways, this is a big mess. This is our new country, and it's only going to get worse.
Well, I'm thankful that they caught this, that it was intervened. And this isn't just a few days after the Bondi Beach massacre. It's also even less days after what they interviewed. Was it 5 or 7
Yeah.
guys that were believed to be heading to, I think it's the Bondi Mall?
Yep.
Um, to do horrible things there. I mean, this is very serious. And I remember even in BC, I think it was earlier this year, we had the plane hijacker
Yep.
who, was saying something about the same type of stuff. So the bottom line is we have to work very hard on vetting, some of these individuals. I'll share a link here. I don't know if we'll have time to show it,
Yeah, go ahead.
but there is footage going around and I asked Yankee, Is this
Is
true?"
this
He
real?
said,
Yeah.
"You posted it, not me." I retweeted it, but there's footage and it looks like it's showing, the Bondi, terrorists at a protest. These protests that we've been seeing normalize all the time. This is, of course, in Australia, but I know we've had them over in Vancouver, and you can actually see the dad and the son there, just walking around in the protest. And it reminds me of here in BC, where in Vancouver, we had protests where they were ripping the Canadian flag, saying death to Israel, death to Canada, death to the United States. And, that is linked. Those protests were linked to an actual terrorist group, terrorist entity. Even Canada finally came around and called them that. And we haven't even prosecuted the leaders, Charlotte Case. Like, I mean, that looks like the guy. I haven't vetted this footage. Um, but they're saying, yeah, these guys have just run roaming around in these protests that we've been allowing to happen, actual hate protests. Scary.
Well, and that's just it, isn't it? It's they've just been allowed to. They're being emboldened, honestly. And we see it all the time with your guys's coverage in Toronto. I mean, they'd rather tell Jewish people and reporters to get off the street and not cause a problem than the people that are actually causing the problem. And
Arrest
so,
them.
what happened in Australia was absolutely horrifying. And I hate to say it, but I mean, unless things change in Canada, I think it's inevitable that this is going to happen here. God forbid. But they've just been allowed to um, become more and more emboldened. Their rhetoric is getting, stronger and stronger and stronger. They're becoming more forceful on the streets. And well, look what's happened in Montreal
Yep.
and how Alexa and Guillaume are being treated. I mean, it's uh,
Exactly.
it's concerning.
The case I referenced earlier was Mustafa El-Didi and his son. They were accused of planning a Toronto terror attack late last year, sort of during the summer of last year. And they were ISIS inspired. And the elder El-Didi, he was featured in an ISIS video beheading and hacking at a crucified captive. And that was widely published, and he just came into the country. They just let him in. And once they got here in the safety and security of Canada, they started plotting
Of course.
to do more murder on behalf of the Islamic State. Now, there's a case here that I didn't even know about, and I think I paid very close attention to this. Again, Toronto's got a problem, and they need to do something about it. This man guilty in largest, this is from the J.ca. Toronto man guilty in largest ISIS terror financing case. A Toronto man admits to funding and recruiting for ISIS. The case exposes the growing threat of radicalization and why standing with Israel and Jewish values is more urgent than ever. And this was from May. I didn't even know this happened. This week, Canadians learned the chilling details behind the largest terrorism financing conviction in the nation's history. Khalilullah Youssef, a 36-year-old Toronto resident, pled guilty to 2 terrorism charges after admitting he used cryptocurrency money transfers and online crowdfunding to funnel more than $35,000 to ISIS between 2019 and 2022. He raised over $15,000 through GoFundMe. Oh, but don't you dare raise money for the convoy. And distributed more than 3,800.
Because they're the extremists.
Exactly.
How many bank accounts were frozen, I wonder?
Exactly.
Yeah.
3,800 extremist hyperlinks to radicalize and recruit for the Islamic State. His actions are not isolated. He maintained direct contact with an American who was later convicted of attempting to materially support ISIS. He used sophisticated digital tools. He was sentenced to 12 years in prison, but he'll get parole eligibility after serving half his term. It's wild.
Incredible.
And
Wow.
I mean, the left will, of course, say, oh, this is against Muslims. And it's like, no, that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about actual extremists, not people who don't want to be injected with a vaccine, an experimental vaccine. And we're talking about how loose and easy it is if you actually have a mandate to hate the West, which these extremists do, and how to get here. They're living in countries that don't have human rights. So it's very easy to claim that you're in trouble and you need to come here. We have a one app. We're literally letting people in with one click, where they click and then they're expected to go and fill out the rest once they arrive. And then they're disappearing. Some of them, lots of them are just disappearing. So if you're the type of person who really wanted to flee and really wanted the Canadian life, you're going to follow the prompts. You're going to want a job here. You're going to want a career here. You're going to want your kids to go to school. You're not going to disappear once you come to the country. So who are these people that have gone missing? I mean, if I hated the West, that would be my path to get here.
Right. I mean,
Crazy.
we just saw those guys who were involved in that massive BC extortion case who came here, I think, on student visas. Then they
Don't even get me started on BC.
Then they claimed refugee status. They get charged in this
All of them.
extortion ring. Then they all claim refugee status. They should immediately be deported. Like, you cannot be a refugee from the world's largest democracy. I'm sorry.
And
I'm sorry
Canada
very
is
much.
like-
Goodbye.
We have had, in Syria alone, we've had well over 100 extortion cases this year. And these guys get caught. They're about to be deported. They're like, refugees.
I'm a refugee.
And Canada is like, oh, shoot, they got us. Dang it. Like, it's like, what? Are you kidding me? And then, you know, then of
It's
course
incredible. It's incredible to watch. I mean, especially from, you know, somebody like Chris and myself, our standpoint, you know, to see these people being just treated this way so they can stay in Canada. Like, I remember a time in my lifetime where we vetted our immigrants. We welcomed them with open arms, but they went through a very rigorous vetting process. And if I recall correctly, you couldn't get your citizenship unless you could speak at least one of the official languages. And so that has all been just completely dropped by the wayside. And if you question any of it, you're called a racist immediately.
Right.
I remember when they would like know more than I did, like when I was a teenager.
About Canada.
They would come here and they would know more about the country than I did because they
Yes,
actually
exactly.
studied
Because
it.
they
were so
loved us. They
excited.
loved us and they chose this country.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now they hate us.
You like the hat? Me too. Same strong message about making Canada great again, but in a really cool color, black and gold. There's other colors available and it's an all Canadian site. So if you want to signal your tribe or trigger a Liberal, go to mcgahats.ca today.